Today is going to be one of those days where our project is a beautiful success or a complete mess. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to attempt to do a dirty pour with epoxy resin. Now, if you don't know what a dirty pour, don't worry. I will be explaining what it is and how to do it a little bit later in the craft part of this video. But first I want to show you guys this Let's Resin Beginner's Resin Set. Now this video isn't sponsored. Let's Resin had a giveaway on their Instagram page sometime last year in the spring, and I was one of the lucky winners, and this is what I chose as my prize. Now the reason why I want to share this with you guys is because I do honestly think that this is a good beginner set for resin crafts. If you're a beginner or if you just want to try resin crafting, you do get pretty much everything you need in here, so I do think it's a good purchase. Now I do kind of know what's in here. I've taken a peek and there's a lot. This box is full. So let's unbox it together and then we'll get to that dirty pour. So inside this kit we get how to assemble instructions, gold leaf, copper leaf, and silver leaf, mica powders, and there's quite a few in here. There's a bunch of different colors. More pigments. These are Let's Resin liquid pigments, and you get yellow, red, black, green, white, and blue. Here we have the basics, so measuring cups, mixing cups, gloves. We have some popsicle sticks, pipettes, spoons for the mica powders, and then I also saw that there's also some jewelry bits in here, so these are if you want to make some earrings. 5 jars of glitter, 4 cords for necklaces, Let's Resin epoxy resin 1:1 ratio, jump rings, key rings, a bunch of different molds, ring molds, bracelet mold, earring mold, and a pendant mold, dried flowers, and lastly a user manual on how to mix their epoxy resin, and there is also a short FAQ in there. As you guys can see, the box was full and it pretty much has everything a beginner would need. So let's get to the craft portion of this video and let's do that dirty pour. Okay, so I've gone ahead and mixed up my epoxy resin and chosen the colors I'll be working with. I've chosen gold, white, purple, and blue. I'm also going to be adding some gold leaf into the mix just in case this turns into a muddy mess, so at least we'll have the pretty gold leaf to look at. So while I'm dividing my resin and mixing the micas in, I'm going to explain what a dirty pour is. A dirty pour is a technique where you get multiple colors of paint, pour them one at a time into a cup, and then pour all that paint together onto a canvas. Now, I think this technique is mostly used with acrylic paints. That's how I came across it, and I thought it looked really cool, and I wanted to see if it worked with epoxy resin, so here we are. Comment down below if you already knew what a dirty pour was and if you've already tried this technique with epoxy resin. I'd love to know what kind of results you've gotten. I'm really excited and nervous about how these pens are going to turn out, and I'm also really hoping that the colors I did choose look good together because I do think that is really important. So before we pour in the epoxy resin, I'm going to quickly add some gold leaf to my molds just to give the pendants a little extra detail. If you haven't tried putting gold leaf in resin, I highly recommend you try it. It really can elevate the look of your resin pieces and make them look more sophisticated. My favorite color combination with gold leaf is a pearly white and pastel pink. It truly is chef's kiss. Now that the gold leaf is in, we can go ahead and combine the colored resins. By the way, on the earring mold, I only put gold leaf in the trapezoid shaped ones. I'll also be making the circular ones, but those ones won't have the gold leaf. Okay, so let's get to it. First goes in the blue, then purple, then white, and lastly gold. Now, I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I'm going to shift the resins a little with a toothpick. Now, ideally, I think you want to have more of each color so then you can have at least one more round of pouring the colors in for another layer of colors. But since these molds are pretty shallow, I only mixed up 2 ounces of resin in total. And I'm only realizing now that that's what I should have done, even though I didn't have much resin. So lessons have been learned, and I will definitely keep that in mind for next time. One thing to keep in mind is that the last color you pour into the cup will be the color that dominates that first piece or area once you start pouring. As you guys will see, that first pendant there, it's mostly gold, but as I keep pouring, the other colors do come out and it starts to come together. You guys will also notice that I'm moving my hand in a circular motion, and that's just to manipulate the resin movement to make the look more interesting. One really cool thing about this technique is that each piece should be unique. Because of the movement of the resin and the different amounts of colors we have every time we tilt the cup out, it's going to be really cool to see the results we get. By the time I got to the earring mold, I just poured the resin straight out. The resin was starting to cure and it was thickening up, so I was trying to be as fast as I could. I then noticed that there was still a little bit of resin in the 4 containers I initially mixed the resin in, and I went ahead, poured them into this cup, and then filled more pendants. This time, the blue and purple were the most dominant. By the end, the resin just didn't want to come out, so I had to scoop it out with my toothpick. Luckily, I had just enough resin, and with a little bit of heat from my heat gun and pushing the resin into the sides, I got a nice smooth finish. Now here I'm just showing you guys a bird's eye view of what the pieces look like before they're cured, and oh my goodness, I'm loving how they look so far. I'm hoping the resin doesn't move much overnight, because when these pieces are all cured up and if the underside, which is meant to be the front side, turns out to be a muddy mess, I'm definitely making this side the front side. A little bit of sanding and a top coat, it'll make these pieces look absolutely gorgeous. So now I'm going to cover them up and I'll be back in the morning to demold them. It's now the next day and I'm super excited to report that the resin didn't move much. So again, if the underside does look muddy and poopy, this side is what's going to save this project. So let's see what we've got here. So since there are quite a few pieces to demold here, I thought I'd commentate and do a voiceover after the actual demolding. So as you guys will see, we did get some really nice pieces. That first one was absolutely stunning. I was a little disappointed with how pieces 3 and 4 turned out. I was really hoping it would look like the side we saw before demold, but like I said, we'll just make that side the front side, and even though it has that pretty moon-like texture, I just really like purple, and I was just hoping for more purple in there. Now this piece here is in my top 3. I just love the swirly effect we got with the purple and the blue. Be sure to comment down below which piece is your favorite. I've gone ahead and numbered the pieces so it's easier for you to say which one is which. One really cool thing I noticed was the pieces have been left with this really pretty texture that actually kind of reminds me of the moon's surface. I'm not sure how else to describe it. I will insert a picture here so you guys can see what I'm talking about, but it's really interesting how we got that. How would you describe this texture? I was also disappointed with the trapezoid earring pieces. I guess because I didn't do that circular movement with my hand, we didn't get a pretty pattern, but it's still super interesting to see all the different pieces and how unique they've turned out. As for this last piece, this one turned out 1,000 times better than I was expecting. I really thought this piece was going to be super muddy since I had to force out the resin since I had so little, and it also had gotten really thick. It turned out absolutely gorgeous. This technique was a lot of fun, and I think I'll be doing it again, but next time in a larger scale with a bigger mold. That way we can pour all the resin in one go and see what kind of result we get. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something from it. If you did, please hit that like button and let me know what you think of this technique. If you want to see other techniques that I've done, then check out one of the videos that are popping up on the screen now. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!